and come in looking forward to crayons and you break my heart.
You ready? Well, hey,
Okay.
Facebook,
Hey.
welcome. Veterans Impact Show. Hey, Chuck,
Good morning.
good morning. You got your Dunkin' Donut coffee.
I got my Dunkin' Donut coffee. I always we advertise Dunkin' Donuts. I don't know why they don't support the show. Hey, Black Rifle Coffee listeners, get them to support the show.
All right, here
I'll
we
drink
go.
Black Rifle.
Here we go. Welcome to the Veterans Impact Show, where we continue the mission of highlighting veterans and service organizations who continue to serve our community and our nation. We're brought to you by Fairway Independent Mortgage and Lone Star Wealth Strategies. Don't worry, retire happy. Welcome aboard. Hey, this is a beautiful day. I want to say thank you, Chuck, for a great golf tournament that you guys put on yesterday. We got to go to, got to meet a whole bunch of great veterans. One of the things we talk about on this program is continue the mission, having a purpose. And you did a phenomenal job getting great veterans together and having a ball, having a really good time.
I don't know if you realize this, and you may not have met them, but we had 2 Medal of Honor recipients in the field.
I didn't get to see him.
We had General Pat Brady, U.S. Army, who's written the book Dead Men Flying. Fascinating book for me as a helicopter pilot.
Mhm.
He actually helped develop some of the medevac techniques in Vietnam, where these guys would fly unarmed slicks. We called them slicks. They were Hueys with no guns in to pick up our wounded people and get them out of there. And then the other was Sal Guenta, who was the first living Medal of Honor recipient since Vietnam.
Wow. All right. I want to say a special thank you to my wife, Diane, for doing the social media and Facebook. If you've got a comment, if you want to ask a question, especially if you're Joe in Jacksonville, we welcome you aboard.
Hey, Joe in Jacksonville.
We welcome you aboard. A great pipe fitter and a great sailor. Also, Nathaniel, thank you for what you do in engineering. This is Ascend Podcasting is your company, and it's really great. You have brought so much professionalism to this. So we want everybody to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Veterans Impact Show. Share us on Facebook. And I work for Fairway, and I've got to get the attorneys happy. So my NMLS number is 311548, and the company 2289 for the MLS.
Damn attorneys.
Are supported by Fairway Independent Mortgage, which is one of the largest mortgage companies in the nation. I do senior lending. If you want some help, just give me a call. What a great day. We're talking about one of you and I's, shall we say, favorite topics, which is the Goldstar families.
Yeah, it's
kind of a
hard
tough
to
one.
call that favorite, but it's certainly one of the ones we are the most passionate about.
We're most passionate, most focused on, Wreaths Across America, all of the things we do, Snowball Express that we filmed and we were involved in. So now I want you to introduce Terry Burgess, and let's talk about a really, really neat organization, the Goldstar Parents Retreat.
So I had the opportunity to meet Terry, and he has become a friend. He is a terrific human being, and his story is one. You talk about Charlie Mike. You talk about continuing the mission. And I think one of the reasons that I'm so passionate about the entire Goldstar family movement is that I've seen it up close. I was an Air Force brat. I watched my brother's family when he would deploy seemingly constantly. The heaviest burden is carried by the families. And so welcome to the show, Terry Burgess. Gotta say, I love your man cave. That is a great place to broadcast from. Haven't seen it before. Terry, welcome. And let's talk about it. Let's jump right into it and talk about what motivated you to start the Goldstar Parents Retreat program.
Of course, the first thing that motivated us was Brian's death in March of 2011. And I began to sink into that depression. I thought, I had nothing else to give, nothing else to live for. I was laid off from work, had no mission on my own. My wife, Beth, started looking for organizations, places to get help for a grieving father. And she found a lot of organizations for Goldstar moms. She found stuff for the widow. She found organizations for the kids. But there seemed to be nothing for the dads. There was absolutely nothing for parents. So with the help of a friend out of the Patriot Guard Riders, we did it was just a test. We put out word across social media and through our survivor outreach services organizations, and we invited parents to come down to Leakey, Texas. A good friend of ours, Dallas Hart, Dallas and her husband Brad donated their property, the historic Leakey Inn down in Leakey, Texas, and we held our very first retreat in 2016 just to see if there were other parents of fallen soldiers that were looking for the same thing we were. And Chuck and Jim, we had a full house. They came from all across Texas looking for a place where they could feel normal, where they could take that public mask off and be themselves, talk about their sons and daughters to other parents who understood. You know, you talk to somebody in a grocery store and they say, oh, well, what's that Goldstar? And you start telling them, explaining it to them, they get that glazed look in their eyes, and you can tell they don't want to know.
Yeah. And you know what? Let me jump in here. I need Terry, would you explain what a Goldstar family is? Because I was absolutely shocked. You know, we all think everybody knows everything we know, and they don't. So what is a Goldstar family?
And you know what, Chuck? Beth and I were shocked too. When Brian was serving in Iraq, his wife, Tiffany, gave us a banner with a blue star on it. She said this represents a family member in service in service to their country. And we had no idea there was one of those banners with the gold star on it. And then at Brian's funeral, Brigadier General Colt pinned one of these gold stars on each one of Brian's family members. And he said, this represents that your family member was killed in action while serving their country. And that's the Gold Star designation. And one thing about our organization, and it's kind of a hot topic right now, we call ourselves Gold Star Parents Retreat, but we welcome parents of any fallen soldier, regardless of the cause of death. Because, Jim, we have parents coming, suicides, we have murders, we have accidental deaths, training deaths. We have a couple of parents, their sons died from receiving the inoculations before they were deployed. So there's many, many circumstances of grieving parents, but there was nowhere for them to go to find and connect and network with other parents. So our first retreat was in 2016. It was such a success that we became a 501c3 in 2017. And we've been trying to do one every year. Of course, we had to cancel because of COVID, but we do annual retreats. They're usually in April around Brian's birthday. And we still have full house every time.
When you say full house, Terry, how many people come?
It's between 60 and 70.
Wow.
Beth and I run this. It's a all volunteer organization. And that's about as big a crowd as we can handle. And that keeps it rather intimate. Mm-hmm. And they can network, they can connect. And these families form connections that will last them the rest of their lives.
So I had three different ways I wanted to go with that question. I lost all of them all at once. So talk a little bit about how long the retreat is, what you actually do, what the time is like when you're together.
Absolutely. It's a 3-day weekend, and it's at no cost to the parents. We try to provide everything for the parents, food, the rooms. And we were fortunate to we partnered with American Airlines this last 2 years, and American Airlines donated miles where we could fly parents in from other states. So we went from being Texas based to now we're national now.
So you're taking parents from all over the country.
Yes.
We just threw up the Goldstar. I mean, the Goldstar Parents Retreat.
Yes, sir.
There we go.
We start on Friday afternoons. It's a welcome dinner. We usually have a guest speaker comes in and addresses the crowd. And then probably our most emotional part of the weekend is Friday evening, we do the roll call. We have a slideshow, which is actually on the website. We show the photos. There's a slide of the fallen soldier, their name and their dates. And Beth will ring the honor bell, and then the parents will stand up for their son or their daughter. And that is about as emotional as we get. The rest of the weekend, Saturday, is filled with fun events. We did a field trip out to the Wichita Falls. Next year, we'll be doing a field trip out to the Woody Williams Goldstar Families Memorial there that was dedicated in Wichita Falls. Well, it'll actually be dedicated on Memorial Day weekend. Beth and I will be there.
Oh,
and then,
excellent. Excellent.
That guy right there in front with the cigar laying down, that's Troy Melton.
Troy,
And his
Troy, we're
crew,
going to have to talk to Troy. Troy,
they gave us
no-showed
a
us at the golf
wonderful
tournament
barbecue
yesterday.
dinner this
Yeah.
year. It was just absolutely wonderful. So we
Troy's
had
awesome.
people from North Carolina and California got a good taste of Texas barbecue.
I love it.
And we are not faith-based, but we can get very spiritual at times. So I have one of my favorite things is saying, you know, at Gold Star Parents Retreat, we don't sing Kumbaya. We're there to have fun, to share, to connect. And you can see our photographer, Rick Irving.
Yes.
He captures the smiles, the hugs. And Chuck, you know, these are smiles on the faces of parents who thought they would never be able to smile again. At one time, they thought they had lost everything. Here they are laughing, enjoying themselves, sharing their stories, sharing their tears, sharing their hugs. It's an incredible thing to see. And I know one of your questions was kind of how do we measure the success of our retreats?
Mm-hmm.
And we had a mom came up to me and she said, Terry, I heard something I had not heard in a very long time. And I said, what? She said, I heard my husband laugh his full, true laugh since our son died.
Yeah.
To me, that's a success because we do. As parents, you lose a son or daughter, even though you have other sons or daughters, you feel like hollow, empty. You're done. You don't want to do anything. And watching these parents come to these retreats, the fact that they stepped in that door at the retreat, that's a huge step for them. That they actually come out, interact, connect, and network. And then, like I said, they come in on Friday afternoon. They're strangers to each other.
Mm-hmm.
By Sunday, when we leave, they're hugging and laughing, and they have become family. They're part of our family.
Chuck, one of the things that we had a program about the Gold Star Families Memorial because you were very, very heavily involved.
Yep.
You drove getting that. You knew Woody Williams. He came to the deal.
Yep.
But one of the most amazing stories that we heard about that, Terry, was this lady walked up to somebody, I don't remember who it was, and said, you see that man that's down on his knees crying in front of the memorial? That's my husband. He hasn't cried. He hasn't had closure to the loss of our son. And it changed his life being at that Gold Star Memorial. Being able to interact with people like what you have set up. And I was heavily involved in Snowball Express, which is for Gold Star children.
Yep.
And Gold Star people, and I'd love to go into this in one of our other segments, really have a totally different experience. A lot of people lose a child to diseases. A lot of people lose a child to an automobile accident. But there's just something about the child that's lost in the service of the country that has a profound, profound impact on families.
That's absolutely right. You just said exactly what Beth said the other day, that it is. It's multifaceted because, you know, the first thing that I felt was anger, incredible anger. And then I realized I wasn't doing anything to honor Brian. So that was part of my motivation, was doing something to honor my son's sacrifice.
Oh, that is outstanding.
And you got to remember, your son raised his right hand and he made a conscious decision to do something. And You know, he gave the ultimate sacrifice. That's a hard thing for a parent to deal with, I can imagine. Well, we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back after these words from all of our partners. Thank you so much for being part of the Veterans Impact Show. Seek us on Facebook, YouTube, subscribe, be a part of it. Send us an email. Let us know. We're here for you, Veterans Impact Show. Welcome back to the Veterans Impact Show. And thanks to our sponsors, Fairway Independent Mortgage and Lone Star Wealth Strategies. Now, let's continue this great conversation.
We're talking with Terry Burgess of the Parents Goldstar, the Goldstar Parents Retreat. Sorry, I'm going to get the order right eventually. I'm bad about that. If it's not right there in front of me, if it's not in crayon, I just don't understand it. We laugh, but we are talking about what has become to me, and this is a very personal show for me. Terry is one of these people that I met. You mentioned the Gold Star Family Monument that we built, or we put together in Frisco. I guess we built it. I got a great picture of Terry and I there. His presence has been is really known in North Texas, and we are talking about a program that he put together as a way with dealing with his loss of his son. That has really been incredible. And I'm going to pivot just a little bit, but I wanted to ask this question right quick before we forgot it. You mentioned there are 60 to 70. Is it 60 to 70 people or 60 to 70 couples?
It's 60 to 70 people. We have couples, and then we have moms come by themselves. We have dads come by themselves, and then we have 5 or 6 volunteers.
Okay. So what I was going to ask is it the same 60 or 70 every year? Or are they all different?
It's not. It varies. We try to have 10 new Gold Stars come each year.
Okay.
And it seems to work, because then that helps them connect with parents that know what the retreat is about. They're parents that are already comfortable there, that know everybody, and they welcome them. I don't know if you know Mike and Delisha Boso. Mike is the one that helped us with the American Airlines traffic coming in. And Mike he might as well be my spokesperson. He's very open. He's very personable. He's very friendly. So if I'm not there at the hall when parents are coming in, Mike will greet them, invite them in, make them feel at home, and just let them know that very first minute, you're home. You're welcome here.
Terry, let me ask you a question. I've not heard of this retreat, Lakey Retreat, the physical facility. Can you tell us just a little bit about that? So if somebody's going, well, what will we be doing? Where are we going? Can you describe it a little bit and kind of help us out? Is that a good idea?
Absolutely. Our last 2 retreats were actually held in Wichita Falls, Texas. We don't have a designated place. We don't have a big ranch or anything. We don't do it in hotels. The place in Wichita Falls is now the Yogi Bear Jellystone Park.
I love it.
Yogi Bear actually came in and paid us a visit. You can find his photo with some of the parents there on our page. But and we found out the lady that runs the retreat, the property manager there, she is actually a Gold Star daughter from Vietnam. We had no idea about that when we first booked our place there. So the park has individual cabins, so we put the parents in individual cabins. Some of them have 2 bedrooms. If we get overcrowded, they may have to share a cabin. But we try to put the address for the current retreat on the website there at the front. We have a map. We have directions to the retreat. And that very first one down in Lakey, I was kind of surprised. When you look at the title of it, it looks like leaky. So it looks like you're going to be staying in a leaky historic inn. We were just hoping it wouldn't rain. But Dallas said, no, it's pronounced Lakey. And she and her husband were just wonderful that very first retreat. We're planning on going back to Lakey. We have gotten a large waiting list. So we are thinking of maybe either doing 2 retreats a year if we get the funding, we can do 2 retreats. We can do one in South Texas. We can do one in North Texas and kind of break it up a little bit. But we try to get a variety, that's kind of a bad word, a variety of parents that come in. We do have a waiting list. It's impossible to get everybody we want to come to the retreat, but we do our best. And the ones that do come, they leave, they tell their stories, they spread the news, and they spread word of mouth. And that's the goodest thing for us.
Is there a directory or something that you guys have access that you know how to contact these Goldstar families, or is it just strictly word of mouth?
Sometimes it's word of mouth. I have a spreadsheet that have the previous visitors, previous guest names, their addresses, their sons and daughters' names and dates. And I mentioned survivor outreach services. So anybody, any Goldstar that is listening to this, if you can contact your survivor outreach services coordinator, they can get in touch with David Verdine here in the North Texas, and he can get them in touch with us or just contact us directly.
All right, tell you what, we're going to take a break to hear from our partners. We'll be right back. We'll give you that website. Nathaniel, you'll put up that website. Let's direct people there for veterans. Welcome back to the Veterans Impact Show. And thanks to our sponsors, Fairway Independent Mortgage and Lone Star Wealth Strategies. Now, let's continue this great conversation. We've got Terry Burgess talking about the Goldstar Parents Retreat. We've got it up on the screen if you're watching us on TV. We've got it in the chat. If you're looking at us at Facebook, we've got that as well. And if you're on radio, you want to go to Goldstar Parents Retreat. I think if you look that up, you'll find it.
Terry, one of the things that let's use this segment to talk about two things. And I think, and I've been sitting here trying to remember where we met, and I think it was at the American Fallen Soldier Project. And one of the things that you gave me that I have, and I really appreciate it, talk a little bit about the book you wrote and its title.
The book is called When Our Blue Star Turned Gold. And as Beth and I became more involved with Goldstar families and organizations, we started being invited to tell our story. Mm-hmm. So we would go to events, we would give a speech. And one of these was the Trophy Club Memorial Day. We gave our speech. And I was approached by an editor, by a publisher, and he said, have you published your story? Have you written it down? He said, this is an amazing, powerful story. And I said, no. I said, all we do is we travel around the country, we give stories. He said, let's get it in writing. So he encouraged me. And I think it was Hemingway that said, writing is easy. You just sit down at a typewriter and bleed. And,
wow.
That's exactly what I did. There were times writing our story, Brian would call the publisher and she'd say, okay, we've got to take a break. This is killing him. He is reliving every second since that knock on the door. But we got it published. It came out on Veterans Day in 2018, I think. And it is a story of that ranges from that initial pain, that shock, to the feeling of anger, of dissolution, that feeling, I love my country, but I hate my government kind of feeling at times. And it was a mission of trying to overcome all of that, trying not to sink in depression while trying to honor your son. And I think Chuck knows the story about the dream that I had that morning before we found out Brian was killed. And that was part of my driving force. That was part of the reason of trying to share Brian's story, to honor his sacrifice, not just mourn the loss of my little boy, but to honor his life, honor his sacrifice, and do something that Brian would be proud of. So we published the story. It's When Our Blue Star Turned Gold. It's on Amazon. We did an audiobook. It's on Audible. Actually have a part of it where Beth reads her part of the story, which is extremely, extremely moving. It's hard for me to even listen to.
We can feel the emotion still to this day, and you've told this story hundreds and hundreds and probably thousands of times, and yet it's still, the emotion is so real. As Hemingway said, we are watching you bleed right now, and we certainly feel for you. And this is incredibly important. I'm going to do another one of my patented segues. But it is important this week as we are leading into Memorial Day weekend. And people don't understand that Memorial Day is about those who have given their last full measure of devotion to their nation. Veterans Day in November is when we honor all veterans. And we started Veterans Day to remember 11/11, the significance. It was the 11th minute of the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. Sorry.
We're into World War I.
It's the end of World War I, and that was originally considered Armistice Day. But Memorial Day is different, and we're not asking anybody. You know, the Indy 500 is great, and backyard barbecues are great, but take a minute. And most people say at 4 o'clock on Memorial Day. And if you remember, if you knew somebody, say their name out loud. And if you didn't, just lift your glass, be it a cold beer, be it an iced tea, whatever it is, and take just a minute. And I'm going to let you, Terry, talk a little bit about, because you and I have both been involved. I'm wearing my Carry the Load shirt, my load carrier shirt. I've been a proud 9-year load carrier, about to be 10th year. This will be my 10th year involved with Carry the Load. Talk a little bit about this. And this is a way, if you want to get involved, if you want to help Terry, talk a little bit about how you can join the Goldstar Parents Retreat Carry the Load team.
Absolutely. We became involved with Carry the Load in 2014. Stephen Hawley and Clint Bruce were actually sponsors for the film that Brian's in, the Hornet's Nest movie, which is a documentary.
I did not know he was in that movie.
Yeah, he's one of the 6 that were killed in that mission.
Oh my gosh.
So Brian is actually in the Hornet's Nest movie. That's how we became acquainted with Stephen Hawley.
Mm-hmm.
And I had given a photo of Brian to Stephen. Stephen said, "Terry, may I carry this on our route across the nation?" I said, "Absolutely." And now this year, we were surprised. Debbie Wright called us up and she said, "Terry, I want to tell you something." She said, "But you can't share this right now." She said, "Brian's photo is going to be on the side of the Carry the Load bus." And we found out he's on the West Coast, he's on the East Coast, and he's on the Midwest Coast buses.
So to quickly explain what Terry is talking about, Carry the Load, and the first one started at West Point, came down to Annapolis, got to Atlanta, and took a hard right and met us in Dallas at Rivershawn Park. They have since expanded this to a West Coast relay, and they have 2 relays that come down through the middle of America, and they touch all 48 of the contiguous U.S. states. I understand they're working with the U.S. Navy, and we're going to try to walk from Hawaii on the deck of one of the carriers and constantly walk until they get in. That's a little bit of a joke. But
that's a stretch.
They're so you've got these relays, and they'll all meet in Dallas, and we're going to be down, and it's an incredible feeling. I get to step off with 15 to 20,000 of my closest friends, and we're going to walk to honor these people. And so anybody who's listening, anywhere in the nation, you can be part of the Carry the Load March in your state. You can be part of the relay. You can just show up. But in this, we have what we call nonprofit partners. And one of those is the Goldstar Parents Retreat. And so if you want to jump on and you want to earn a load carrier shirt, This is something you can do to do that. Sorry, I was looking at the clock. I've got a story that I'm going to tell right as we go, before we go into the break. But Terry, talk a little bit about how people can support you. And you mentioned miles. Do we have the ability to donate miles?
That I'm not sure about. I know you can go onto the Carry the Load website and you can search for teams. We have Goldstar Parents as a team for Carry the Load, and any donations that go through that link will actually come back and benefit Goldstar Parents Retreat.
And it's just a wonderful and very easy way to fundraise, but also to honor those. And I want to tell one more part of this story. The Brian being on the side, they have a team bus that basically follows the relay.
Yes.
And it's all wrapped with Carry the Load, but it also carries the faces of those that have fallen. And it is an incredible tribute, because they say that every man dies two deaths: the day he takes his last breath and the day the last person says their name out loud.
I know.
Help me out.
All right. Here's where I want to segue and change just a little bit, because this is important. This is more than just emotional and remembering. This is supporting military families. This is supporting the community. This is supporting people who have actually given the biggest sacrifice of their life. So we're going to ask you to go to the Goldstar Parents Retreat. There are all kinds of fundraisers that you can donate to. You can join their team. You can donate. We ask you to donate for a specific purpose. This money goes for a specific purpose, which is for these Goldstar parents, and that helps them out. Most of all, what we found out going way back to the Snowball Express, all of these things, is these people feel isolated in many instances. They also feel like nobody really hears them. And when they can sit down with other family members, when they can sit down with other people and express, it brings closure. It actually brings joy. It brings an opportunity. Healing. Thank you, Diane. Healing. So this is important to continue the mission. And people ask me, well, Jim, I want to contribute to a veterans charity. Which one would you recommend? Well, what are you passionate about? You're passionate about kids? Snowball Express. You're passionate about the Goldstar families? Wreaths Across America, the Goldstar Parents Retreat. There are things that you can do which have tremendous impact, and Carry the Load impacts a lot of charities.
Oh my gosh, 66 different nonprofit partners, and today we're focused on the Goldstar Parents Retreat program. And Terry, I'm gonna share a story. I'm gonna try to get through this. Last year, it was the first year. So there are placards, and the placards are all up and down Katy Trail. There are 500 different placards. We're going for 1,000. We'll talk about this later next year when it's time to nominate somebody to have a placard done. And they love these nominations. They're trying to do more and more. But I didn't know this part of the program. At the end of it, I'd physically never been close to the stage, and I was last year, and this involves you. And I don't even know if I've told you about this or not yet. But those close, those parents, those family members, those brothers and sisters, just friends, particularly spouses, will carry that placard to the stage. And you came walking by me with Brian's placard. And it was a wave of emotion. It's still, to this day, that memory still chokes me up. It was such a powerful feeling. We were friends, But we were great friends after that, and you didn't even know it. I could see the emotion and the power in your face. And it's just, this is what Carry the Load is about. This is about the true meaning of Memorial Day. And this is about who are you carrying. And I still get choked up about it. I still think about it as I've gotten deeper and deeper into supporting veterans and helping veterans. It's one thing to be a veteran. You're a little on the periphery of it. But as I've gotten to know the people like yourself who've made real sacrifices for our nation, it's just incredibly powerful. Okay, Jim, jump in here and bail me out because I'm just an emotional nightmare.
Well, and that's probably a lot of that's because you had a 36 hours without any sleep and putting on a golf tournament. So I'm going to give you a little bit of out, but this is hugely important. I think one of the things too that we may miss, because a lot of people think in terms of those actually lost in combat. Unfortunately, we've lost a tremendous number of veterans from PTS, from suicide, from Agent Orange, from World War I. There were men that had mustard gas poisoning. From World War II, it was called shell shock, and many of them came back wounded and hurt. This is something that happens because they raised their right hand, as I said once before, and swore an allegiance to this country, and they made the ultimate sacrifice. They wrote the ultimate blank check. And these men and women who have given it all up, gave it up for us to live in this country and be free. People are scrambling to get here. No matter what you think about the borders, people are dying to get into our country because of what it is and because of the men and women in the military who kept it going. I want to say thank you to that. And when we come back, we're going to talk more and wrap up about the Goldstar Parents Retreat. Again, look it up. We want you to get involved. You may not be a Goldstar parent, but get involved by donating. Thank you. Welcome back to the Veterans Impact Show. And thanks to our sponsors, Fairway Independent Mortgage and Lone Star Wealth Strategies. Now, let's continue this great conversation. Let's bring this ship back into the dock and take it easy.
Yeah, take it a little easy on me. Terry, 60 seconds. This is a short segment. Wrap up your thoughts, share anything that you want to share. And then Jim's going to talk about next week's guest.
Well, first I wanted to say, Chuck, what your story, that's precious to us. That's precious to any Goldstar parent. And when we wrote the book, we found out from other parents, they said, this is what I've been feeling. This is what I haven't been able to say. This is what I went through. So it's not just our story. It's the story of any parent of a fallen soldier. And we're proud to be the nonprofit partner of Carry the Load. We will have a booth at Carry the Load. Come by and see us.
Don't worry. We will.
We'll be there.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Terry. Your friendship has meant the world. Jim, next week.
Oh, I am so excited. I've got Admiral Pat Walsh, Fleet Admiral. He was the Fleet Admiral for the entire Pacific Fleet. Now, one of the things, and I think it's so fascinating because he talked at a dinner deal we went to, the Defense Briefing Series, about what's going on in China and in that part of the world. And right now, that is impacting all of us. But let me tell you what he also does to continue the mission. He is head of a school here in Dallas, in Pleasant Grove, in one of the lowest income areas of Dallas. It is a preparatory academy for young people to be able to go to college. This is a tremendous Cristo Rey. We're going to be talking about what Admiral Walsh is doing for young men and women.
Do you realize years ago when you and I broadcasted from the Byron Nelson, we interviewed the headmaster?
Yeah, that's right.
I can't remember her name now. Sorry about that. But we interviewed, as you were saying that, I went, oh, yeah, we did that. And I've still got my little padfolio that they gave us from the
So
Byron Nelson.
this is going to be a hugely important, and we're very, very thankful to have Admiral Walsh. Admiral Walsh is going to be also the featured speaker at our Navy League function here in Dallas this Thursday. If you want to join Navy League, then just contact us. If you want to come hear Pat Walsh, do it. We're going to put it live on Facebook. My wife's going to be taking care of that. This is an important man who has done a whole lot for this country and a tremendous leader. What he's doing for young people, man, that's what gets my attention, because it's the next generation.
Yep.
And it's the generation that comes out of the kids that need it the most. So go to, what is this? DallasNavyLeague.org. That's DallasNavyLeague.org. If you want to, come join us, sign up, let us know you're coming, and register. We'd love to have you. We also have the National Convention for Navy League coming to Dallas this June.
I'm looking forward to it.
7th, 8th, and 9th, or 8th, 9th, and 10. If you want to be, if you're a Navy and you want to see a lot of great people, I went to the last year. It was great in Orlando. I think it's going to be very good. And we have Lockheed Martin has brought the F-35 simulator.
Oh,
so
cool.
if you want to sit in an F-35 simulator and see what it looks like, which I have done that, it is amazingly fun. And you know
I
what?
may be dragging Travis down to that.
I got news for you. Here's the good news. You're probably going to crash and nobody gets hurt.
I like that. I like that.
All right. We have so much, and we always want everybody to know it's important to continue the mission. It's important to be part of organizations, American Legion, VFW. There are many great organizations. We want you to participate. We want you to join in, because it means that you are continuing the mission in our community. And there are fewer and fewer and fewer of us throughout the nation who are veterans. It's important to speak to the young generation. It's important also to encourage families and encourage young people. That's why Diane and I are involved with Sea Cadets. There are young Marines that are amazing.
Yep.
There's an Air Force contingency that is amazing. I think these things need to get out there and let people know. So if you want to know more, go to Sea Cadets.
So with exactly what Jim is saying, and Terry Burgess is a perfect example. You do not have to be a veteran to continue the mission.
All right.
And Jim, pull us into the docket.
All right. Well, we're going to close with a prayer. Dear Lord God, King of the universe, we thank you for putting a hedge of protection and protecting our men and women overseas who are protecting us. And thank you, dear Lord, for all of our veterans and continuing the mission to be able to bring a lot to this community in terms of leadership and love and honor and the commitment they made. We thank you for them. We thank you, dear God, for bringing this nation back together. One nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Amen. This has been a wonderful opportunity for veterans to impact the Veterans Impact Show. We're here for you. We'll be back next week with Admiral Pat Walsh. And Chuck, I so appreciated your golf tournament. Thank you for being on board.